The cameras flash, the crowds cheer. Meghan and Harry stand bathed in the golden California sunlight, their smiles as carefully curated as the Instagram posts that would follow. This was to be their renaissance. Liberated from the stuffy confines of monarchy, free to build an empire on their own terms. But behind the flawless facade, the cracks were already forming. What began as a carefully crafted narrative of liberation and reinvention has become one of the most spectacular falls from grace in modern royal history. This is not just the story of failed business ventures and broken family ties. This is a Shakespearean tragedy playing out in real time, a tale of hubris, miscalculation, and the crushing weight of expectations unmet. The American Duchess launch was meant to be Meghan's coronation as a business mogul. The website, a masterpiece of minimalist luxury. The products, carefully positioned at the intersection of aspirational and attainable. The marketing, a masterclass in manufactured exclusivity. Yet, from the moment the virtual doors opened, the artifice began crumbling. Industry insiders immediately noted the suspicious sales patterns, the instantaneous sellouts, the identical timestamps on purchase confirmations, the complete absence of the organic social media buzz that accompanies genuine viral success. Behind the scenes, the operation was even more troubled. Former staff describe last-minute product changes, with suppliers scrambling to meet impossible deadlines. The much-touted artisanal jams were revealed to be repackaged commercial products with markups exceeding 1,000%. The luxurious floral arrangements, bulk-ordered dried flowers from wholesale florists, marked up to staggering prices. Meghan's carefully cultivated image as a hands-on creative director dissolved under scrutiny. Employees reported her involvement was largely limited to last-minute aesthetic changes, rejecting packaging designs hours before launch, demanding expensive material swaps that delayed production, then blaming teams when deadlines weren't met. While Meghan obsessed over product launches and public perception, Harry was disappearing into himself. Those close to the couple describe a man increasingly detached from reality, skipping meetings, forgetting commitments, displaying erratic mood swings that alarmed even longtime aides. His public appearances became studies in dissonance. The once charming prince now delivered speeches with the vacant affect of a man reading from a teleprompter in a language he didn't understand. At charity events, he would lose his train of thought mid-sentence. During interviews, his laughter came a beat too late, as if he'd been cued when to find something funny. Royal correspondents noted the parallels to his behavior during previous mental health crises. The same telltale signs were there. The weight fluctuations, the glassy-eyed stare, the nervous tics that betrayed his carefully composed exterior. Only now, there was no palace infrastructure to quietly intervene, no team of handlers to steer him toward help. The Netflix deal was to be their salvation. $100 million and the full weight of the streaming giant's marketing machine behind their rebranding. Instead, it became their most public humiliation. Production insiders describe a chaotic creative process marked by constant pivots and conflicting visions. Meghan demanded extensive reshoots of already filmed segments when she disliked how she appeared. Harry would disappear for days at a time, leaving crews idle and budgets ballooning. The much-hyped Heart of Invictus documentary stalled in development hell as Harry grew increasingly disengaged. Episodes were scrapped and reworked multiple times, with the prince rejecting edits that showed anything less than a perfectly heroic narrative. Meanwhile, their Spotify venture fared no better. Producers grew frustrated with Meghan's perfectionism. The hours spent re-recording single lines, the last-minute script changes that derailed production schedules. The Archetypes podcast became an industry cautionary tale, its budget spiraling while its listenership stagnated. As the Sussex star waned in America, the palace was quietly rewriting history. The Queen's death had removed their last sympathetic tie to the institution, and Charles moved swiftly to consolidate power. The changes were subtle but devastating. Updated succession documents quietly demoted Harry's lineage. Frogmore Cottage was stripped of their possessions with bureaucratic efficiency. Courtiers began referring to Harry in the past tense during briefings as if he were already a historical footnote rather than a living prince. William, once hopeful for reconciliation, now led the charge to redefine the monarchy's future, without his brother. His Earthshot prize flourished as Harry's Invictus games floundered. His family's polished public appearances stood in stark contrast to the Sussexes' increasingly erratic ones. The message was clear. The firm had moved on. There would be no prodigal son return, no triumphant homecoming. The bridge had been burned, and the royal family was already building anew on the other side. The $14 million Montecito estate that was to be their dream home now feels more like a gilded prison. Staff report long stretches of silence, punctuated by explosive arguments. Meghan spends hours locked in her office, endlessly revising business plans that never materialize. Harry wanders the grounds at odd hours, sometimes disappearing for days at a time. Their children, once central to their rebranding as a modern, progressive family, are now rarely seen. School administrators note frequent absences and developmental delays that concern educators. The nannies, originally hired as supplementary help, have become primary caregivers. Even their once fervent fan base has begun to dissipate. The Sussex Squad, that once flooded social media with support, now engages in increasingly vitriolic infighting. The couple's attempts to recapture their initial magic, the carefully leaked humanitarian plans, the staged paparazzi shots of family bliss, fall flat in an era of economic uncertainty and pandemic fatigue. In their fateful Oprah interview, Meghan spoke of royal life as a gilded cage, but the truth they've since discovered is far more cruel. The cage was never the institution, the cage was their own limitations. Their inability to translate fame into substance, their failure to understand that true freedom requires more than good intentions and polished PR. The tragedy of Meghan and Harry isn't that they left the royal family, it's that they never understood what made the institution endure while their own venture crumbled. The monarchy survives because it is bigger than any individual, a fact the Sussexes, in their relentless focus on personal branding, failed to grasp. Now, as they wander the empty halls of their California mansion, surrounded by the trappings of success but none of its substance, one can't help but wonder, do they ever regret stepping out of the palace shadows? And, more hauntingly, is it too late to step back in? The cameras may still flash when they appear in public, the headlines may still scream their names, but the world is moving on, leaving the Duke and Duchess of Sussex exactly where they never wanted to be. Alone, together, with nothing but their reflections in the gilded mirrors of a dream that died.